The black coffee, hot enough to release a cloud of steam, was sipped repeatedly. Her dark eyes fixed on the headlines displayed on the iPad screen. Kirafat was not surprised to see her own name splashed across the newspapers. What irritated her, however, was the insistent ringing of the telephone, and on the other end of the line, her mother. She was no doubt calling to reprimand her for the scandal she had let out, just as her new husband was preparing to run for election in the next legislative session. She never understood why her mother loved that man so much, and honestly, she didn't care to find that answer. The scandal would affect the family's credibility and, in addition, public comments would tarnish the image of the renowned politician. But Kirafat would not let the journalists extract information without thinking it through. She had no interest in politics, nor did she want to be a pawn in anyone's game. If the media wanted to harm her, fine, let her stepfather cross her off the list of candidates as soon as possible. The only one who would be harmed would be Bonita, who probably didn't even know that she had been pulled over to Kirafat's side by accident. Worse still, her mother might even order her to be taken to her. After all, the journalists had already distorted everything, suggesting that Bonita was a protege of Kirafat, the influential daughter of a politician and vice president of a large company. Although no one dared to state the real reason, for fear of lawsuits. The sound of shuffling footsteps finally made Kirafat look away from her iPad. She frowned as she saw Bonita walk out of the room, still drowsy. Did she notice the state of her clothes? I woke up late. Why didn't you wake me up, and why should I? Because I slept too much. You were sleeping so well. If I woke you up, it would be a sin. Do you believe in sins and punishments? Now you just want to argue. Bonita sighed. She didn't even know exactly what she wanted. She only knew that when she woke up and realized she was alone, a strange fear took hold of her chest. The night before, Kirafat had been so kind that she almost thought it had all been a dream. When she woke up and couldn't find her, she found herself desperate to look for her. Where something appropriate, Kirafat said firmly, turning her attention back to the iPad. Her finger slid across the screen, switching from the politics section to the economics section. Bonita looked at herself and frowned. Only then did she realize that the neckline of her shirt was open, because the top button had fallen off, leaving one of her shoulders exposed. You didn't see anything, did you? What are you talking about? Kirafat asked, bringing the cup of coffee to her mouth, avoiding looking at her directly. Last night, I didn't wear anything under my clothes to sleep. And got like this without realizing it. You didn't see anything, right? What do you want me to say? What answer do you want to hear? The truth. I saw. The cold but sincere tone made Bonita feel a sudden heat throughout her body. She didn't even know why. Just imagining the scene made her freeze in place. But not everything. What? After making her worry so much, why didn't Kirafat just say everything at once? Did she enjoy teasing her? And now it's pretty obvious if you don't get dressed soon. You're impossible, Bonita exclaimed. How could Kirafat talk about these things so naturally? Crossing your arms won't hide anything. Go get dressed properly. And where exactly am I cheeky? You're the one who asked for the truth. Kirafat looked up and smiled slightly. But Bonita would never know one detail. When she woke up before her, Kirafat had spent a long time just staring at her sleeping face. With her fingers, she caressed her lips, which she had already taken for her own the night before. The loose nightgown she had given Bonita to wear did not cover much. When she slept on her side, Kirafat could see everything perfectly. And those little cherry buds from the morning. They looked delicious. But unfortunately, she was not allowed to touch them. That's why she quickly got up, made herself a coffee, and immersed herself in the news, all to curb her own urge to repeat past mistakes. Kirafat was not a good person, but she would not make the same mistake twice. I need to go back to my room. Do you have important classes today? They are all important. I'm not going to skip class, do you hear me? I know. Go study. But after class, I'll send someone to pick you up. What? You have work to do. Have you forgotten? I haven't resigned yet. And when are you going to? I need to give at least a month's notice, right? Too long, Kirafat snorted. With the recent scandal, she knew more trouble would arise if Benita continued in her current job. All companies have rules to follow. What a boring bureaucracy, Kirafat said, looking up. Her serious tone made Benita feel a tightness in her chest. I'll pay for the remaining time. How much does it cost? Are you that rich to waste money like that? Rich enough. The sooner you get out of work, the sooner you can obey me after the sun goes down. Remember that. Queen, please don't be so stubborn. And why shouldn't I be? I'm not doing anything you didn't consent to. Or are you scared? What should I be afraid of? Well, what could it be? Aren't you afraid that I'm just deceiving you? Kirafat arched an eyebrow. If you think you can, try. Bonita sighed. She simply couldn't understand how this world, which revolves around the sun, ended up bringing the two of them together like that. Besides, Queen was like a positive pole magnet, while she was the negative pole. No matter how much she tried to pull away, in the end, they always ended up orbiting around each other. Give me 3 reasons to spend money on someone like me. Like you? Don't say you're not, because that would mean you're lying. Benita wasn't convinced, but who in their right mind would spend tens of thousands a day for no reason? She certainly had one. Because I want to. 2. Because I decided I was going to do it. 3. Because you'll please me for 6 hours a day. Queen, those aren't reasons, Benita replied in a neutral tone. Kirafat stood up and walked towards her. Benita was clearly frustrated that the answers weren't going her way, but instead of backing down, she stood her ground. Queen fixed the loose button on Benita's shirt with one hand and, leaning in, whispered close to her ear. Their lips brushed lightly, and the sensation made Benita shiver from head to toe. Without realizing it, she swallowed hard. Those are my reasons. If you keep this up, I'll start to think you're jealous of me. Benita just wanted to point out that Queen's behavior was not normal. I had never met anyone who acted like that towards a simple acquaintance. Working nights for months, she learned that there are different types of people. Some paid fortunes in exchange for comfort and no-strings-attached relationships. But what about Queen? Why was she willing to spend so much on Benita? I won't stop you from thinking whatever you want. She left, leaving behind a mountain of conflicting feelings for Benita to deal with alone. Benita wasn't naive enough to not realize what was happening. Queen was like a wild wolf, free and stubborn. And that made her wonder, was there any way to tame her? If she didn't want to be discarded prey, Benita would need to learn to defeat the wolf. Queen had ordered Benita to come see her immediately after class. So now she stood there, frowning at the documents Queen had handed her. This news. If anyone comes to ask you or tries to meddle because of this, I want you to say that you are mine. Yours? Yes, yours. In what sense? Because if you think about it, saying that will only make things worse. They'll believe even more that you're buying me. But isn't that the truth? Only I didn't buy you the way they imagine, right? Whatever. I refuse. Kirafat sighed at her stubbornness. How could she forget that Benita would not take orders easily? It's the only way to keep you safe. In the end, realizing that hiding the truth wouldn't help, Queen admitted it. She had already dragged Benita into that whirlpool and wanted to protect her. From journalists thirsty for information, from people who tried to get involved. Even from her own mother. Safe? I pulled you into my world. Do you think I would be irresponsible enough to leave you alone to deal with the consequences? The question brought a lump to Benita's throat. No one had ever cared about how she lived, how she survived from one day to the next. You can just let me go my way. I'm just another woman who crossed your path. Soon I'll disappear. Kirafat frowned. I told you not to speak for me. But there's no guarantee that you'll continue to want me around. I don't want to fool myself, because falling hurts. If you want to spare me, then don't play with my heart. I already said that being mine doesn't mean you have to bow your head to anyone. And I can't give you any guarantees. But if you want something, then fight to keep it. How are you fighting to protect me from all these things? If you want to interpret it that way, I don't object. Bonita sighed. Don't give people false hope like that. Because if I start believing, maybe I won't even care about the pain anymore. Maybe you'll be the one who has to deal with me for the rest of my life. Really? Then try it. Kirafat's eyes were trembling slightly as Kita had appeared out of nowhere. He seemed worried about the news involving Queen, but upon meeting Bonita, he quickly got along with her. And Bonita, surprisingly, was very polite and pleasant with Kita, very different from the way she treated Queen. I can't believe you approached my sister. Normally, she's more inaccessible than an endgame boss. Is that so? Yes, to the point where I had to schedule a meeting 2 weeks in advance to talk to her. Bonita shot a sharp look at Queen, who maintained her impassive expression behind the desk. Compared to what she had heard, she realized she was lucky. She never needed to make an appointment. On the contrary, it was Queen who came to her. Mom made a deal for her to come home every weekend. Akita's revelations were surprising. He spoke in a completely different way than what Bonita knew from Queen. Since Kita was charismatic and not at all unpleasant, she allowed herself to interact without worries. She smiled and laughed a few times until she heard a loud throat clearing. Too much noise.
Kita laughed.
He glanced at Bonita before testing something. His instinct told him that the woman in front of him was not there by coincidence, and the fact that his sister had chosen her to be the center of attention, receiving privileges above others, was suspicious. But he knew his sister's personality well. He knew she wasn't the type to easily admit her feelings. So to break through her resistance, he might need a crowbar. Babe. Kirafat frowned. She had been using that nickname for a long time, calling herself that. As far as she could remember, she was the only one who used that name. And suddenly, Bonita wanted her brother to call her that too? Annoying, don't you think? What? Sorry, but you have something stuck in your eyelashes. King, yes? He looked at his sister with a carefree expression. When she didn't say anything else, he went back to talking to Bonita. Babe, come here. What? I'm talking to Mr. King, one. Her tone of voice intensified. The atmosphere began to get heavy, and Kita found it difficult to breathe. Bonita, in turn, raised her eyebrows, noticing the tension coming from her, but remained seated. Too. At this point, Bonita began to bite her lips. They say anger makes people foolish, and rage makes them mad. But what Kirafat was feeling now was something impossible to define. She didn't even have to count to 3. As soon as she stood up, Bonita realized that both she and Kita had provoked a sleeping wolf. It practically backed away from her the moment Kirafat stood up. But for some reason, seeing her furious because of her, Bonita's heartbeat was beating faster and faster. Instead of feeling afraid or wanting to run away, her heart insisted on wanting to get even closer. And that's why she concluded that her heart was foolish. Kirafat didn't pull Bonita away by force. She just stood between the two and gave her brother a stern look. King, can you please leave? What? Are you kicking me out? The door is over there. Kita swallowed hard. His theory was confirmed, but he didn't expect the response to be so intense. I'll walk you out, Bonita offered. In truth, she wanted to avoid Kirafat's piercing gaze. She had never seen her display this kind of attitude before, as if she wanted to crush her between her hands. Ah.
Sure.
Kirafat stood still, watching the two leave. As soon as her brother was gone and Bonita had closed the door, Kirafat stepped forward, pressing her against the wall beside the entrance. What are you doing? What? What did I do? You provoked me. Bonita frowned. Kirafat was clearly irritated. Her breathing was heavy and her expression more intense than ever. I was just talking to your brother. Normal stuff. And why don't you talk to me the same way? Can you stop asking these questions that make me think you're jealous? Kirafat tried to contain her frustration, but she couldn't. She didn't want to argue, because she knew it would only worsen her mood. So she chose to ask directly, making it clear that Bonita was in no position to challenge her. "What time do you start work?" "Usually at 6. "It's already 6. At that moment, Bonita understood that Kirafat wanted attention. She wanted to be pampered. She was acting like a jealous child. How could she not see that? "Okay. What do you want? Make me stop getting mad." "Are you mad at me, babe?" Kirafat lowered her tone, serious. If Bonita didn't do something, she really might explode.
Why?
She didn't even know. All she knew was that she hated seeing her so close to Kita, hated seeing her smiling at him, hated all of this. "What should I do?" Bonita placed her hand on the collar of Kirafat's shirt, then slid it down to her chest, right over her heart. "It's beating fast. Is your heart scolding me?" Kirafat fell silent. Her heartbeat was so intense that Bonita could feel it. She wasn't just talking for the sake of talking. "It hurts. You're so grumpy." "What should I do, then?" "Aren't you going to give me any tips?" "Think for yourself. You're good at annoying me. Can't you be good at calming me down too? Why do I have so many responsibilities?" The pressure on Bonita's shoulders increased. Kirafat was persistent, always pushing her. She didn't know if she was violent by nature or just repressing everything she felt. "What can I do?" "Any restrictions? Do whatever you want." "Anything?" "Yes. To catch a predator, you need a specific type of trap." Bonita didn't know what it was, but she realized that Kirafat's impatience could be useful in luring her. That way, she could find out what to really expect from her. With that in mind, Bonita pushed away the hands holding her shoulders and instead grabbed Kirafat's wrists. She stood on her tiptoes and brushed the tip of her nose against her cheek. Did that help? Kirafat stood still. With no response, Bonita understood that it was not enough. So she counted to 3 before moving on to the next step. With her left hand, she still held Kirafat's wrist, but with her right, she pulled her by the nape of the neck, bringing her closer for a soft kiss, before slowly pulling away. "And now, don't start." Kirafat spoke in a hoarse tone. She was fighting something inside her. Ever since the day she had kissed Bonita, she still couldn't forget the feeling. "But you were the one who said I could do anything." "Yes, but don't start something like that." Their gazes locked for a long time. Bonita didn't back down. She didn't run away. She was challenging Kirafat. And seeing this, Kirafat felt even more like she was being teased. When Bonita dared to kiss her again, defying her warning, Kirafat decided she wouldn't hold back any longer. "You started it. So don't accuse me of taking advantage of the situation." Kirafat's lips pressed against hers in an almost immediate response. Bonita's delicate waist was gripped tightly before her hands slid down to her hips, pulling her closer, their grip never letting up. Meanwhile, Bonita tried to fight back. She didn't know if she had done the right thing or the wrong thing to in the first place, but there was no way back now. The sound of clothing rubbing, the sound of lips pressing and sucking, and the sound of panting breaths filled the room. Kirafat pulled her own wrist free from her grip, only to pin it back down, pushing Bonita's hand against the wall. With her other free hand, she dug her fingers into her shoulder. The more Kirafat kissed and squeezed, the harder Bonita scratched. It was a fitting response. More. "Ah." Bonita swallowed dryly. Kirafat didn't give her any respite, thrusting even more intensely than before. "Ah." Bonita let out a moan as her lips were nibbled. Only then did Kirafat give her a break, satisfied that she had vented her frustration. Bonita didn't know if she was still angry, but feeling Kirafat's face against her neck was an overwhelming sensation. Queen. She inhaled deeply, touching and releasing the skin of her neck, until the sound of knocking on the door interrupted the moment. "Queen, I left my things." Kirafat didn't respond, but punished the interruption by nibbling on Bonita's neck. "It will leave a mark." Bonita whispered, digging her nails into her shoulder as she realized her neck would surely be marked. "Knock, knock, Queen." I forgot my phone. Kirafat sighed deeply and pulled away from her neck, staring at Bonita's face, which was now flushed and carrying an expression that was hard to resist. She had warned her not to start. You can't be mad at me. You started it. Are you jealous? What? If you tell the truth, I won't be mad. Queen, why don't you hand the phone to Kita first? Kirafat sighed again and looked at the spot where her brother was sitting before. Seeing his phone, she quickly picked it up and went to open the door, handing it over without hesitation.
Bam.
She closed the door in his face. Kita was surprised, but soon laughed. How long had it been since he had seen his sister angry over something personal? Her life always revolved around work. But this was better. At least he knew that Kirafat still had a heart and hadn't completely turned into the robot his mother wanted her to be. I'm waiting for your answer. What do you want to hear? The truth. Don't stay silent. I hate irresponsible people. You never like what I do. Don't change the subject. Then don't force me. If you don't answer, I'll do it with someone else. And you can't freak out like before. Kirafat's eyes sparkled. Just try it. I will. Don't tease me, babe. Then answer my question. Queen, take responsibility for what you did. I started with a kiss, but who didn't stop there? If you dare do it to someone else, I'll kill them. So she wouldn't hurt her, but rather the person she was with? What kind of logic was that? If you don't want me to do it, then answer me. It's not jealousy. Then stop doing that. And if I admit it's jealousy, can I continue? I want the truth. Even after exposing herself so much, she still resisted? Bonita wouldn't give up so easily. If Kirafat didn't fall into this trap, then it was best for her to stop here. Otherwise, she would be devoured herself. You know. I don't know. Kirafat sighed. Not even at the company's annual meetings did she get this tense. Not even when her mother pressured her did she hesitate this much. But with this little girl, she simply couldn't handle it. Is it so difficult to answer? I don't like it. What? I don't like you getting close to other people. I don't like you smiling at other people. I don't like you talking sweetly to anyone. I don't like you being sweet to anyone. That doesn't answer my question. Besides, my job requires me to do everything you hate. Now you can only do all this with me. Sly, stubborn. What was she, after all? Bonita sighed. She didn't understand why Kirafat was acting like she was a police officer trying to arrest her. I just want to know, yes or no, if it's so difficult to answer. I don't like you getting close to others. Isn't that clear enough? Kirafat spoke in a softer voice. Bonita's neck was red in one specific spot, where she had bitten hard. Did it hurt, babe? What? Come here. Where? Kirafat sighed and patted the space next to her. Sit here. I want to see your neck. Is it hurt? You'll just look, right? No guarantees, come already.